1 week after my wife and I had routine checkups, the doctor called me. I need to talk about your wife. I saw her at the clinic yesterday. Drop everything and come now. It is life or death. But don't say a word to your wife. When I arrived and saw, before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments what city you're watching us from. But let me tell you what my life was like before that call, before everything fell apart. My name's Sebastian. I'm 44 years old, a civil engineer. I've been married to Alicia for 18 years. 18 years I thought were solid, built on trust and true love. We had a house in a quiet neighborhood with a small garden where Alicia grew white roses and jasmine. Every morning we had coffee together before I left for work. She'd make me breakfast, toast, scrambled eggs, orange juice. She always smiled, always gave me a kiss on the cheek before I went out the door. Our routine was predictable, yes, but I loved it for that. There was no drama, no big fights. Alicia was my partner, my best friend, the person I thought I'd grow old with. On weekends, we'd go to the market together, buy fresh vegetables, meat for the week. Sometimes we'd treat ourselves to an imported wine. On Saturday nights, we watched movies on the couch. She'd rest her head on my shoulder. I'd stroke her hair. Everything seemed perfect. I worked at my own construction company with my partner Fabian. We'd known each other since college. We'd built that business from scratch, project by project, sacrificing nights and weekends for years until we became a respected firm. We had contracts with the government, with private companies. Things are going well, very well. I earned enough to give us a comfortable life. Alicia didn't have to work, although she sometimes helped with the company's administration, checking invoices or coordinating payments with suppliers. Fabian came to the house often, had dinner with us. Alicia would cook those stews he loved. We'd joke, laugh, talk about future projects. He was like a brother to me, and Alicia was always nice to him, cordial. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing that would ever make me suspect there was anything more than friendship between them. The routine checkups had been my idea. I was 44, Alicia 42. I want to make sure we were both healthy. Blood pressure, cholesterol, glucose, all that. We went to the lab together on a Monday morning. They drew our blood. We did the full workup. We left there holding hands, stopped at a coffee shop, and had croissants with coffee. I remember she was radiant that day. She was wearing a light green dress that looked beautiful on her. She smiled at me. She looked me in the eyes. She squeezed my hand across the table. Everything was normal. Everything was perfect. But then that call came. Tuesday at 3 p.m., I was reviewing the blueprints for a new building we were going to construct in the north part of the city. My cell phone vibrated on the desk. I saw the name, Dr. Mendez. I answered, expecting him to tell me everything had come out fine on our tests. Sebastian, I need you to come to the clinic right now. His tone wasn't his usual one. It wasn't that professional yet friendly tone he normally used. There was something urgent, something that gave me goosebumps. What happened, doctor? Did something go wrong with the tests? I have to talk to you about Alicia. I saw her here at the clinic yesterday. My heart skipped a beat yesterday, but she didn't tell me she was going. I know. That's why I need you to come. Drop whatever you're doing and come immediately. It's a matter of life and death, Sebastian. I felt the air leave my lungs. Doctor, please, tell me what's wrong with her. Is she sick? Is it something serious? There was a silence on the other end, a silence that lasted too long. Then his voice dropped to almost a whisper, not a word to your wife. This is crucial. Don't tell her we spoke. Don't mention anything about this call. Come straight to my office. Just you. And he hung up. I sat there staring at the phone. My hand was shaking. My heart was beating so hard I could hear in my ears. Life or death? What could be so serious? Cancer? Something with her heart. Why had she gone alone? Why didn't she tell me anything? And the strangest thing of all, why was the doctor forbidding me from talking to her? I grabbed my car keys. I left the office without shutting down the computer, without putting away the blueprints. Fabian looked up from his desk across the room. Where are you going? We have the meeting with the investors in an hour. I have an emergency. Cover for me. I didn't wait for a reply. I ran down the stairs. I got in the car. I started it. My thoughts were a mess. Terrible images flashed through my mind. Alicia in a hospital bed. Alicia getting chemotherapy. Alicia telling me she had months to live. I couldn't breathe properly. I drove fast, too fast, dodging cars, honking. The clinic was 20 minutes from my office. I got there in 12, parked badly, taking up 2 spaces. I didn't care. I ran to the entrance. The receptionist recognized me. "Mr. Sebastian, Dr. Mendez is waiting for you. Office 3. I walked down that white hallway that smelled of disinfectant. My legs felt like lead. I knocked on the door. "Come in." I entered. Dr. Mendez was sitting behind his desk. He had a manila folder in front of him. He looked at me with a serious expression. Too serious. "Sit down, Sebastian." I sat. My hands were sweating. "Doctor, please, tell me what's wrong with Alicia." He took a deep breath, opened the folder, took out some papers, put them in front of me. They were lab results. I scanned them, but the numbers and medical terms meant nothing to me in that moment of panic. Alicia came yesterday. The doctor began alone. She asked me to do a specific test for her. "What kind of test?" "A pregnancy test." The world stopped. "Pregnancy." I repeated. The word sounded strange in my mouth. "But we're not trying." "Sebastian." His voice was firm now, professional, direct. "The result was positive. Your wife is pregnant. About 3 months." I felt a mix of confusion and something like joy, but I don't understand how. I mean, we weren't planning it. But then Sebastian interrupted me. His eyes looked at me with an intensity that made me shut up. "You had a vasectomy 5 years ago." And that's when everything inside me froze completely. The sentence hung in the air like a verdict, like a bomb that had just exploded inside my head. The doctor was watching me, waiting for a reaction, but I couldn't move, I couldn't speak, I couldn't even blink. "Vasectomy," I finally repeated. My voice sounded hollow, as if it were coming from far away. "Yes, 5 years ago after you decided you didn't want children." "Exactly," Dr. Mendez said. "That's why I called you. That's why I needed you to come without Alicia knowing." I looked at the papers on the desk, the numbers, the dates, the positive result. Pregnant, 3 months. Impossible. Medically impossible. There must be a mistake, I said. My brain refused to process what this meant. Maybe the test is wrong. Maybe, Sebastian. The doctor leaned forward. "There's no mistake. I ran 3 different tests, all positive. Your wife is pregnant, and you had a successful vasectomy 5 years ago. I checked your file. The post-op analyses confirmed 0 sperm. 0. The word echoed in my head. 0. 0 chances. 0 chance that baby was mine." Then I could finish the sentence. I couldn't say it out loud. Saying it would make it real. The doctor nodded slowly. "I'm so sorry, Sebastian. I thought you had to know." I got up from the chair. I needed to move. I needed air. I walked to the office window. Outside, people were walking normally. Cars were passing. The world kept spinning as if nothing had happened. But my world had just shattered into 1,000 pieces. "Does she know?" I asked without turning around. "Know that I had the vasectomy." "Of course she knows. She was with you when you had it done." I closed my eyes. Alicia knew. She knew perfectly well that I couldn't have children, and yet there she was, 3 months pregnant, coming to the clinic alone to confirm something she must have already suspected. "Did she say anything?" I asked. "When she came yesterday, did she mention anything about how this happened?" "No, she just asked for the test. When I gave her the positive result, she was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled. She said it was a wonderful surprise that she couldn't wait to tell you. A wonderful surprise." The words burned inside me. I left the office without saying goodbye. I walked down the hall like a zombie. The receptionist said something to me, but I didn't hear her. I got to the car, sat down, closed the door, and then, only then did I let reality hit me with its full force. Alicia was cheating on me. My wife, the woman with whom I had shared 18 years of my life, the woman to whom I had entrusted everything, my heart, my home, my future, was cheating on me. And not only that, she was pregnant with another man's child. My hands trembled on the steering wheel. I wanted to scream. I wanted to hit something. I wanted to turn back time and wake up from this nightmare. But it wasn't a nightmare. It was real as the papers the doctor had shown me, as real as the baby growing in my wife's womb. I started the car. I drove aimlessly through the city. I needed to think. I needed to understand when it had started, who he was, how I hadn't noticed. All the questions crowded my mind without answers. But then, as I was driving, I started to remember little details, things that didn't seem important at the time, but that now, under this new, terrible light, took on a completely different meaning. The last few weeks, Alicia had been different, more distant. When I got home from work, she'd be on the couch with her cell phone. Before, she'd greet me at the door. Before, she'd ask me how my day had been. Now she barely looked up. "Hi, love," she'd say without emotion and go back to her phone. Her phone, now that I thought about it, she protected it as if it were gold. Always screened down, always with a password. Before, she'd let me use it if I needed to look something up quickly. Now, if I touched it even by accident, she'd grab it immediately. "It's mine," she'd say with a forced smile, as if I were a stranger. And the outings, God, the outings. I'm going to the gym with Eugenia. I'm going shopping with the girls. I have an appointment at the beauty salon. Always an excuse, always a reason to be out of the house. I never suspected anything because I trusted her, because in 18 years she had never given me reason to doubt. I remembered a night 2 months ago. I came home early, around 6. Alicia wasn't there. I called her. It took 3 rings for her to answer. When she did, her voice sounded agitated. "Where are you?" I asked. "At Eugenia's." She wasn't feeling well. I came to help her. "Do you want me to come over?" No. I'm almost done. I'll be there in an hour." She arrived 2 hours later. Her hair a bit disheveled, her makeup smudged. "Eugenia's better," she said and went straight into the shower. Eugenia, her sister, always so close, always with secrets between them. Did Eugenia know what was happening? Was she her accomplice? I remembered something else. 3 weeks ago, Fabian came for dinner. Alicia made lasagna. The 3 of us were at the table. I was talking about a new project. Alicia and Fabian exchanged a look. It was quick, almost imperceptible, but I saw it. At that moment, I didn't give it any importance. I thought maybe they were bored of hearing me talk about work, but now, that look took on a terrible meaning. I slammed on the brakes. I was in an empty parking lot near the river. I got out, walked to the edge. The water ran dark and cold. I sat on a bench. I took out my cell phone. I had 3 missed calls from Fabian, 2 messages from Alicia. The first one said, "Love, where are you?" Fabian told me you ran out of the office. The second, "Are you okay? Call me." The hypocrisy. My stomach hurt just thinking about answering her, talking to her, pretending everything was fine when my world had collapsed. What was I supposed to do? Go home and confront her, yell at her, demand she tell me the truth. But a part of me, a stupid, desperate part, still wanted to believe there was an explanation, that maybe the doctor was wrong, that maybe there was some strange medical possibility no one knew about, that maybe there was no maybe. The numbers didn't lie. Science didn't lie. My wife had betrayed me in the most profound way possible. I took a deep breath. I needed a plan. I needed to know more before I did anything. If I confronted her now, she'd deny everything. She'd make up some story. She'd make me doubt what I'd seen with my own eyes. I needed proof. I needed to know who he was. I needed to know how far this lie went. I grabbed my phone, searched the internet, private investigator near me. Several results appeared. I chose one, dialed. A woman's voice answered. "Verum Agency. How can we help you?" "I need to hire someone," I said. My voice sounded strangely calm to follow my wife. There was a brief pause. "I understand. Can you come to the office tomorrow morning? We need some details and a photograph. I'll be there at 8. I hung up. I looked at the river. The sun was starting to set. I had to go home. I had to act normal. I had to pretend I didn't know anything until I had all the pieces of the puzzle, until I knew exactly who was betraying me and for how long. I replied to Alicia, "Everything's fine. I had to solve a problem on a construction site. I'm on my way home." She replied immediately, "Okay, love, I'm waiting for you." I made roasted chicken. Roasted chicken, as if nothing was wrong, as if she wasn't carrying the living proof of her betrayal inside her. I started the car and drove back. Every kilometer felt like an eternity. When I arrived, the house was lit, warm, cozy, a perfect lie. I parked, took 3 deep breaths. I put on my best face and went inside. Alicia was in the kitchen. She greeted me with a smile. "Hi, love. How was your day?" I looked at her, her familiar face, her eyes I knew by heart, and for the first time in 18 years, I felt like I was in front of a complete stranger. Good, I lied. Everything's fine. That night was the longest of my life. We had dinner together as always. Alicia talked about her day, about a new recipe she wanted to try, about a sale she saw at the supermarket. I nodded, smiled when I was supposed to. I said, uh-huh, and that's great at the right moments. But inside, I was a hurricane of rage and pain. Every time I looked at her, I saw a stranger. Every time she smiled, I wondered how many of those smiles have been fake all these months. After dinner, we sat on a couch to watch TV. She rested her head on my shoulder, as she always did. I put my arm around her, and while we pretended to be a normal married couple, I was thinking about the baby, about that baby growing inside her, about that baby that wasn't mine, about that baby that was the physical proof that everything we had built was a lie. Are you okay? She asked suddenly. You feel tense. I'm fine, I lied again. Just tired. It was a long day. She caressed my hand. You should rest more. You work too much. How ironic. There she was, worrying about my rest while stabbing me in the back. I felt like pushing her away, yelling at her, telling her I knew everything, but I held back. Not yet. I still needed more information. That night, when we went to bed, she snuggled up against me. I stared at the ceiling in the dark. I listened to her breathing become slow and deep. She was asleep, and there I was, awake with 1,000 questions burning in my head. What did she see him? Where did they meet? How many times had she lied to me, looking me straight in the eye? At 7, the next morning I got up. Alicia was still sleeping. I got dressed in silence, left a note in the kitchen. I left early for the site, see you tonight, and I went straight to the investigation agency. The office was on the 3rd floor of an old building downtown. I rang the bell. A woman of about 50, with short hair and an intelligent look, opened the door. Sebastian, she asked. I nodded. I'm Claudia. Come in, please. I sat in front of her desk. She took out a notebook and a pen. Tell me what you need. I told her everything. The doctor's call, the pregnancy, the vasectomy, my suspicion that there was someone else. Claudia listened in silence, taking notes. When I finished, she nodded. I understand. Do you have any idea who it could be? I'm not sure, I said, although deep down a part of me already suspected. Those looks between Alicia and Fabian, the times he came to the house, the familiarity between them, but I didn't want to say it out loud until I was sure, until I had proof. I need you to give me your home address, the places she frequents, her routines, also a recent photograph. I gave her all the information. I showed her a picture of Alicia on my phone. She studied it for a moment. I'll follow her for a week. I'll send you daily reports with photographs and locations. If there's someone else, we'll know. How much do you charge? Per week, plus expenses. That's fine. I took out my credit card. We made the payment. I signed a contract and left there feeling a strange mix of relief and terror. Soon I would know the truth, the whole truth, and I wasn't sure I was ready to face it. I went to the office. Fabian was already there. He greeted me as usual. What happened yesterday? You left like a bat out of hell. Family problem, I said vaguely. It's resolved now. He nodded. Good. I need you to review the plans for the Central Avenue project. The investors want changes. We spent the day working. I tried to concentrate on the numbers, on the plans, on the meetings, but my mind was elsewhere. I watched Fabian, the way he spoke, the way he moved. Was it him? Was it my partner, my supposed friend, the one who was sleeping with my wife? At 3 in the afternoon, I received a message from Claudia. Target located. She's at a cafe on Morello Street with company. My heart raced. She attached a photograph. I opened it. It was Alicia sitting at a table, and across from her was Eugenia, her sister. Just the two of them having coffee, talking, nothing suspicious. I breathed. Maybe it was true she was seeing her sister. Maybe I was getting paranoid. But then another message came. Third person joined the table. Photo attached. I opened the second image, and there he was. My world came crashing down again. The third person was Fabian. The three of them together, Alicia, Eugenia, and Fabian, in a cafe in the middle of a workday. When Fabian was supposed to be in the office with me, I looked at the time of the message. 3:10. I looked towards Fabian's desk. It was empty. He left 20 minutes ago. said Orlando, our assistant. He said he had an appointment with a supplier. An appointment with a supplier. Another lie. I put my phone away. My hand was shaking with rage. I wanted to run to that cafe. I wanted to confront them right there in front of everyone, but I held back. No, I didn't have everything yet. I needed to know more. I needed to know exactly what they were planning. The next few days were hell. Every morning, I acted normal. I had breakfast with Alicia, gave her a goodbye kiss. I went to the office. I worked alongside Fabian, pretending everything was fine. And all the time, Claudia sent me reports, photographs, locations, evidence after evidence of the betrayal. Wednesday, Alicia and Fabian having lunch in a discreet restaurant on the outskirts of the city, sitting very close, him holding her hand across the table. Thursday, Alicia entering a motel at 2 in the afternoon. Fabian arriving 10 minutes later, both leaving 2 hours later. Friday, the three of them again, Alicia, Fabian, and Eugenia. This time at Eugenia's house. Claudia couldn't hear the conversation, but she took pictures through the window. They looked serious, talking, planning something. Every photograph was a stab to the heart. Every report confirmed what I already knew but didn't want to accept. My wife was cheating on me with my partner, and her sister was an accomplice. The three of them together, laughing at me, using my trust, destroying everything we had built. On Saturday morning, I was at home reviewing the reports on my computer when Alicia entered the living room. I quickly closed the laptop. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Working," I said. She came closer. She gave me a kiss on the forehead. "You even work on Saturdays. You need a break." I looked at her. Her belly wasn't showing yet. 3 months weren't enough for the pregnancy to show. But I knew it was there. That secret, that time bomb waiting to explode. "I have something to tell you," she said suddenly. My blood ran cold. Was she going to confess? Was she going to tell me about the pregnancy? "What is it?" I asked, trying to sound casual. She smiled. It was a nervous, excited smile. I was waiting for the right moment. "I didn't know how to tell you." She paused. "I'm pregnant." There was the lies served on a silver platter with a smile. My wife, looking me in the eyes, telling me she was pregnant as if it were a blessing, as if it were our child, as if I were the father. "Pregnant," I repeated. I acted surprised, confused, but I thought we couldn't after the "I know." She interrupted me. She had tears in her eyes. Fake tears. "It's a miracle, Sebastian. The doctor says these things sometimes happen, that there are cases where the vasectomy reverses itself. It's very rare, but possible." What an elaborate lie. What a perfect performance. I felt like laughing, like applauding her performance, but instead I hugged her. "That's incredible," I said. "I can't believe it." She sobbed against my chest. "Are you happy?" "Yes," I lied. "Very happy." We stayed like that for a moment. Her crying with supposed joy. Me holding her while rage ate me up inside. When we finally separated, she looked at me with shining eyes. "I want us to go to the doctor together to confirm everything, so you can see the ultrasounds." "Of course," I said. "Whenever you want." She smiled. On Monday, I already made an appointment for 10 in the morning. I nodded on Monday. Perfect. By then I would have all the information I needed. By then I would have already spoken with my lawyer. By then I would have a plan. That night, while Alicia slept beside me, I took out my cell phone. I wrote to Claudia. I need to know everything. Who they're talking to, what they're planning. I want recordings if possible. I don't care about the cost. She replied within minutes. "Understood. I'll get you what you need." I put the phone away, looked at Alicia sleeping. She looked so peaceful, so innocent, but I already knew the truth. And soon, very soon, she would know that I knew. And then this castle of lies would come crashing down, and I would personally make sure she paid for every second of betrayal. On Sunday afternoon, I received the package that would change everything. Claudia met me at a cafe far from my neighborhood. I arrived on time. She was already there with a large manila envelope on the table. I sat across from her. There were no greetings. She got straight to the point. "I got what you asked for," she said, pushing the envelope towards me. "But I'm warning you that what you're about to see and hear isn't easy." I opened the envelope. There were photographs. Many. Alicia and Fabian kissing in the motel parking lot. Alicia and Fabian entering an apartment I didn't recognize. More photos of the meetings with Eugenia, But what really mattered was on the small USB drive inside. I managed to place a microphone in your wife's purse, Claudia explained. I recorded a full conversation between the three of them. It was yesterday at Eugenia's house. You want to listen to it calmly, and you might want to have something strong on hand. I paid her the rest of the money in cash, took the envelope, left the cafe, went straight to my car. I couldn't wait, I needed to know. I connected the USB to my laptop, found the audio file, opened it, and what I heard shattered me in ways I didn't know were possible. Alicia's voice was clear. Are you sure it's going to work? Fabian's voice completely. I've already talked to the lawyer. If he accepts that the baby is his, everything is easier. During the pregnancy, we stay married. You have access to everything. Accounts, properties, the company, Eugenia's voice. And after, Fabian again. After the birth, we file for divorce. Alicia gets half of everything, including his share of the company. I, as a partner, buys half. He's out, and you and I, my love, get to keep everything. My love, he called her my love. To my wife, the son of a bitch called her my love. Alicia laughed. A laugh that sounded cruel to me. He's so naive. He never suspected a thing. When I told him about the pregnancy this morning, he almost cried with happiness. Poor fool. Poor fool. That's what she called me. My wife of 18 years called me a poor fool. Eugenia spoke. And what if he asked for a paternity test? There was a silence. Then Fabian, he won't. He trusts her too much. Besides, she's already put that story of the medical miracle in his head. He swallowed it whole. The three of them laughed. They laughed at me, at my trust, at my love, at everything we had built. Alicia continued. In 6 more months, this will be over. We have the baby. We use it to get everything we can during the divorce, and then you and I start our life together with his money. It's perfect. And what about me? Eugenia asked. Fabian, we've already talked about this. We'll give you $100,000 for your help, and then we go our separate ways. No contact. We can't risk him suspecting anything. $100,000. They were going to pay my wife's sister $100,000 to help destroy my life. The recording continued. They talked about timelines, about how Alicia would pretend to be the perfect wife for the next few months, about how Fabian would continue to act as my friend and partner while stabbing me in the back. They talked about properties, investments, bank accounts. They had everything calculated, every detail, every step. They had studied me as if I were an engineering project. And I, the engineer, had been too blind to see the blueprints. The recording ended. I sat in the car, unable to move. My hands were shaking, rage burned inside me. I wanted to scream, I wanted to destroy something. I wanted to go find them and make them pay right then and there, but no. I couldn't lose control. Not now. Now I needed to be smarter than them, colder, more calculating. I took out my cell phone, looked through my contacts. I found a name I needed. Elias Moreno, lawyer, the best in the city, specializing in divorces and corporate fraud. I had met him years ago on a project. I dialed his number. Sebastian, he answered surprised. I haven't heard from you in a while. Elias, I need your help. Urgent. Can you see me tomorrow morning? Of course. What happened? I can't talk on the phone. I'll explain everything tomorrow, but I need absolute discretion. Understood? Come to my office at 7 in the morning before my assistant arrives. I hung up. I took a deep breath. On Monday morning, I would see Elias. I would show him everything, the photos, the recordings, Claudia's reports, and together we would create a plan to take everything from them before they could take it from me. I went back home. Alicia was in the kitchen preparing dinner. She greeted me with a kiss. Where have you been? I called you like 3 times. I went out to clear my head. I needed to think. Think about what? About the baby, about us being parents. It's a lot to process. She hugged me. I know. I'm nervous too, but we're going to do it right. Together. Together. One empty word from her mouth. I nodded. I hugged her back, and as I held her, I thought about the recording. About her words. Poor fool. I smiled against her shoulder. They would see who the fool was. That night we had dinner and watched a movie. We acted like the happy couple we no longer were. When we went to bed, she fell asleep quickly. I stayed awake planning, going over every detail, every move I would make. At 6 in the morning, I got up, got dressed in silence. Alicia was still asleep. I left another note. Early meeting. See you at the doctor's appointment at 10. And I left. Elias's office was on the 20th floor of a corporate building. I arrived exactly at 7. He opened the door for me personally. Come in, we have total privacy. We sat in his office. I took out the laptop. I showed him everything, the photos, the reports, and finally the recording. Elias listened in silence. His expression grew more serious with each second. When it finished, he leaned back in his chair. This is serious, he said, but it's also pure gold for us. With this evidence, we can not only protect your assets, but also sue them for fraud. What do you recommend? Elias opened a notebook. He began to write. First, we need to move your assets before they realize. Second, we have to secure your share in the company. Third, we prepare a divorce lawsuit with all this evidence. And fourth, he paused. We can go after Fabian legally. Fraud, conspiracy, breach of partnership agreement. How much time do you need? Give me a week, maybe 2. I need to prepare everything perfectly. In the meantime, you continue to act normal. Don't change anything in your behavior. Don't let them suspect. In today's appointment with the doctor, go. Act excited. Make them believe everything is going according to their plan. While they think they have you under control, we'll prepare the counterattack. I left Elias's office feeling different. I was no longer the victim. I was no longer the fool who swallowed the lies. Now I was the hunter, and they, without knowing it, were already in my trap. At 10 o'clock sharp, I arrived at Dr. Mendez's office. Alicia was already there, sitting in the waiting room. She looked radiant in a light yellow dress. She greeted me with a huge smile. I'm so nervous, she said, taking my hand. I smiled back at her. Me too, but my nerves weren't from excitement. They were from pure, contained rage. Rage I had to hide behind a perfect mask. They called us. We went into the office. Dr. Mendez looked at me with a strange expression. He knew the truth. He knew that baby wasn't mine, but professionally he had to act normal. Congratulations to both of you, he said in a measured voice. We're going to do an ultrasound to see how everything's going. Alicia laid down on the exam table, lifted her blouse. The doctor put the cold gel on her belly and began to move the transducer. A blurry black and white image appeared on the screen. There it is, the doctor said, pointing. 3 months exactly. Everything looks good. Alicia squeezed my hand. She had tears in her eyes. Do you see it, love? Our baby. Our baby. The biggest lie I had ever heard in my life. I nodded. It's beautiful. The words tasted like poison in my mouth. The doctor gave us the routine instructions. Prenatal vitamins, monthly appointments, special care. I listened and nodded. Alicia asked questions about diet, about exercise, about everything a future mother would ask. She played her part to perfection, and I played mine. We left the office. In the parking lot, Alicia hugged me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being so wonderful. I stroked her hair. I'll always be here for you. Another lie, but a necessary one for now. The next few days were a play. I was the happy husband. She was the pregnant wife. Fabian was the supportive friend and partner who congratulated us effusively. What incredible news, he said when Alicia told him at a dinner we organized at home. Sebastian, brother, you're going to be a father. I can't believe it. He gave me a hug, a Judas hug. I returned it. I'm still in shock, I said, but happy, very happy. During that dinner, I watched how Alicia and Fabian interacted. They were careful. They never looked at each other for too long, never sat too close, but I knew their secret. I saw the furtive glances they exchanged when they thought I wasn't looking. I saw how she served him more wine, how he thanked her with a smile that lasted a second longer than normal. It was all an act, all fake. Meanwhile, Elias was working in a silo. He'd send me encrypted messages, documents 40% ready, accounts secured, preparing the final move. I replied with monosyllables. Okay, good. Let me know. I couldn't risk Alicia seeing anything suspicious on my phone. A week after the doctor's appointment, Elias summoned me to his office again. I went at 6 in the morning. He showed me a thick folder. It's already, he said. Your share in the company is already protected through a trust we established 3 days ago. Legally untouchable. I transferred 80% of your liquid assets to international accounts. I left only what was necessary in the local accounts so as not to raise suspicion. And the company. Here's the interesting part. Elias smiled. A sharp smile. I reviewed the partnership agreement you signed with Fabian years ago. There's a clause you probably don't even remember. Clause 15. Section B. Any partner who engages in dishonest conduct, fraud, or acts that harm the company's interests can be immediately removed without compensation. I felt a spark of hope. Does that apply here? Absolutely. Fabian is having an extramarital affair with his partner's wife. He's conspiring to take your share of the company through deception. That's dishonest conduct at its finest. With the recordings and evidence you have, we can activate that clause. He loses everything, his share, his position, everything. When can we do it? Whenever you say, but I recommend waiting a little longer. Let them think they're winning. The more confident they are, the harder the fall will be. I agreed. How long? 2 more weeks. That gives us time to tie up all the loose ends, to prepare the lawsuits, and for them to completely relax. 2 weeks, 14 more days of pretending, 14 more days of fake smiles and empty hugs. But it was worth it, because after those 2 weeks, their world would collapse. That night, I came home and found Alicia cooking. I made your favorite, she said. Grilled steak with potatoes. It smelled delicious. We had dinner together, talked about names for the baby. She suggested names. I nodded. I like them all, I'd say. Inside, I was thinking about how in 2 weeks, that baby would no longer be my problem. Sebastian, she said, suddenly becoming serious. I have to ask you something. What is it? I want us to put the house in my name, too. Right now, it's only in your name. But if we're going to be a family, I think it should be in both our names for security for the baby. There was the first real move. They wanted to start taking control of the assets. I smiled. Of course, love, that makes sense. I'll go to the notary tomorrow. She lit up. Really? Thank you. You're the best husband in the world. The best husband in the world who was going to leave her with nothing. The next day, I went to see Elias. I told him about Alicia's request. He laughed. They're in a hurry. That's good. It means they're nervous. Tell her you need a few weeks to sort out the papers with the notary. Bureaucratic procedures. She'll believe it. I did exactly that. Alicia frowned. A few weeks. I thought it would be faster. It's the government, I said, shrugging. Everything takes time, but I've already set it in motion. Don't worry. She accepted, although she didn't seem convinced. That night, I heard her talking on the phone in a low voice. She was in the bathroom. I got close to the door. No, not yet, she was saying. He says it takes time, but he promised me he'll do it. Pause. I know. I want to hurry everything up too, but we can't push him too much or he'll suspect. Another pause. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. I love you. I love you. She said I love you to Fabian from our bathroom, in our house, while I was just feet away. The level of audacity was impressive. The days passed slowly. Every morning, I woke up next to a woman who was betraying me. Every day, I worked alongside a man who was conspiring against me. But I was no longer the fool I had been. Now, every smile I gave them was calculated. Every word was part of a larger plan. One afternoon, Fabian asked me to review the contracts for a new project with him. We were alone in the office. He talked about numbers, deadlines, profits. I looked at him and thought about the recording about his voice saying, "Poor fool," about how he planned to take my own company from me. Are you okay? He asked me. You seem distracted. I'm fine, just thinking about the baby, about how everything's going to change. He smiled. A smile that was meant to be friendly. It's going to be amazing, brother. You're going to be a great father. Thanks, Fabian. Really, thanks for all your support. That's what friends are for. Friends, what a betrayed word. Finally, the day arrived. 2 weeks later, Elias called me at 7 in the morning. Everything's ready. Today's the day. Come to my office at 9. We're going to execute the entire plan. I arrived on time. Elias had several documents on his desk. First, he said, we signed Fabian's removal as a partner. It's all legally substantiated. Second, we filed a divorce lawsuit with all the evidence of infidelity and conspiracy. Third, we block all joint accounts. And fourth, we sent a legal letter to Eugenia warning her that if she doesn't cooperate, we'll include her in the lawsuit for complicity and fraud. I signed everything, every document, every paper. My hand didn't shake. I was completely calm. The calm that comes after the storm. When do they find out? I asked. In exactly 2 hours. At 11 in the morning, the notifications will arrive. Alicia gets the divorce, Fabian the removal. And by then you'll be out of their reach. Perfect. I left Elias's office, got in my car, drove aimlessly for a while. I thought about everything that had happened in the 18 years, about the lies, about the pain. And then, for the first time in weeks, I smiled. A real smile, because finally, after so much pretending, I was going to be the one to have the last word. At 11:05 in the morning, I received the first call. It was Alicia. I didn't answer. I let it ring until it cut off. 10 seconds later, she called again. I ignored the call again. Then the messages came. First one, Sebastian, where are you? Then another, I need to talk to you urgently. And another one, please answer me. I watched as the messages kept coming, but I didn't reply to any of them. Not yet. At 11:15, Fabian called me. I didn't answer that either. He left a voicemail. I listened to it. His voice sounded agitated. Sebastian, what the hell is going on? I just received a legal notice. Call me now. I deleted the message. He didn't even deserve a reply. I parked in front of a park, got out of the car, walked to a bench. The sun was high. It was hot. Families were strolling with their children, couples holding hands. People living normal lives, lives without betrayal, without lies. I took out my cell phone. I already had 20 missed calls, 30 messages. I decided it was time. I called Alicia. She answered on the first ring. Sebastian, where are you? What's happening? Her voice was hysterical. Nothing remained of that feigned sweetness. Hello, Alicia, I said in a calm, cold voice. Did you get the papers? The papers? What are you talking about? I got a divorce lawsuit. This has to be a mistake. It's not a mistake. It's completely intentional. There was a silence. Then her voice changed. It became soft, manipulative. Love? I don't understand. Are you angry about something? Did I do something wrong? Can we talk? I'm pregnant, Sebastian. We're expecting a baby. A baby that's not mine. Another silence. This one longer. Heavier. What? What did you say? The baby isn't mine. It can't be. I had a vasectomy 5 years ago. Something you know perfectly well. I heard her breathing raggedly. The doctor said it was possible that sometimes they reverse on their own. You were there. You heard him. Yes. I heard your lie. A lie you made up with your lover, with my partner, with Fabian. Sebastian, are you crazy? I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you don't want me to refresh your memory. I paused. Let the silence stretch. I have recordings, Alicia, of you, Fabian, and your sister, planning everything, talking about how you were going to take my money, my company, my life. I have photos of you entering motels. I have reports from a private investigator who followed you for weeks. I have proof of every lie you told me. Absolute silence on the other end. I could imagine her there, paralyzed, processing that her perfect plan had collapsed. Still there, Alicia. I asked, or do you need to call Fabian to tell you what to do? I can explain. I don't need explanations. I need you to understand something very clearly. You lost. Your plan failed. You're not going to get my house. You're not going to get my money. You're not going to get anything. The papers you received are just the beginning. You can't do this to me. I'm pregnant with another man's child. That's your problem, not mine. Sebastian, please. Now she was crying. But they weren't tears of remorse. They were tears of panic, of rage, of frustration. We've been together for 18 years. You have to think about everything we built. Everything we built. I laughed. A bitter laugh. I built. You destroyed. There's a difference. I'm begging you. Give me a chance to explain. Come to the house. Let's talk like adults. We have nothing to talk about. My lawyer will contact you for the divorce details. Don't call me again. Wait. Don't hang up, Sebastian. I ended the call, blocked her number, then blocked Fabian's and Eugenia's just in case. I leaned back on the bench, took a deep breath. I felt something strange in my chest. It wasn't pain, not exactly, it was relief. As if a huge weight I had been carrying for months without knowing it had been lifted. My phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered, Sebastian. It was Eugenia's voice. She sounded nervous. I need to talk to you. It's important. What do you want, Eugenia? I know things got out of control, but I didn't want to hurt you. Alicia convinced me. She told me it was just to secure her future. I didn't think that you'd betray me for $100, 000. I interrupted her. Yes, I have that conversation recorded too, where Fabian promises you money for helping them destroy me. She gasped. No, I didn't know what. Let me be very clear with you, Eugenia. My lawyer is going to send you a letter. If you cooperate, if you declare everything you know in the divorce, I won't include you in the lawsuit. But if you try to protect your sister or lie for her, I will sink you legally. Understood? I understood. Good. Wait for the letter. I hung up, got up from the bench, walked back to the car, drove to the office. I needed to face Fabian face to face. I needed to see him when he realized he had lost everything. I arrived at 12:30. The parking lot was full as usual. I went up to the third floor. The office seemed normal. Orlando was at his desk. Sebastian, he said when he saw me, Fabian is looking for you. He's very upset. I know. I'm going to talk to him. I walked to his office. The door was open. Fabian was standing by the window, his back to me. He had the phone in his hand. He's here, I said from the doorway. He turned around. His face was red. His eyes bloodshot. You, he said. The word came out like a spit. What the hell did you do? I came in and closed the door behind me. What I should have done weeks ago. Protect what's mine. Protect. You took my position. You kicked me out of the company. You can't do that. Yes, I can, and I did. Read Clause 15 of the partnership agreement. The one you signed 10 years ago and clearly forgot. He grabbed some papers from his desk. The legal documents he had received. This is illegal. I'm going to sue you. Go ahead. And in court, I'll present the recordings where you're planning with my wife to steal my share of the company. I'll present the photos of you at motels. I'll present everything. Do you want this to become public? Fabian? Do you want everyone in the industry to know what kind of person you are? His face went pale. You recorded us. A private investigator did. Very professional. By the way, worth every dollar I paid her. Fabian sank into his chair. His hands were shaking. You don't understand. Alicia and I. It's different. We love each other. You love each other. I laughed again. That same bitter laugh as before. Fabian, she doesn't love you. She's using you just like she used me. The difference is that I've already realized it. You're still the fool. That's a lie. We're going to be together. We're going to have a life. With what money? You lost your job, your share in the company, and soon your reputation. Do you think anyone will hire you after this? Do you think Alicia will stay with you when she finds out you have nothing left? He looked at me with hatred, but also with fear because he knew I was right. You're a bastard, he said. No, I'm someone who trusted the wrong people, but I learned my lesson. Now you have 1 hour to pack your personal belongings and get out of this office. Security will escort you, and if I see you near here again, I'll call the police. You can't just throw me out like trash. I built this company with you, and you betrayed it for a woman and for ambition. Actions have consequences. Learn to live with yours. I left his office. Orlando looked at me with wide eyes. He had clearly heard part of the conversation. Call security, I told him. Mr. Fabian no longer works here. He needs to be escorted out of the building. Understood, sir. I went into my own office, closed the door, sat in my chair, looked out the window. The city stretched out before me. Buildings, streets. Life going on as always. And for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. There are no more lies, no more acting, no more pain pretending everything was fine. My phone vibrated. It was a message from Elias. Fabian out. Alicia notified. Accounts blocked. Everything executed according to plan. Good job. I replied. Thanks for everything. I leaned back in the chair, closed my eyes. The day was just beginning, but it felt like I had lived entire years in these last few hours. I knew what was coming wouldn't be easy. There would be hearings, paperwork, legal battles. But I had something they didn't. I had the truth on my side, and I had proof of every lie they had woven. The following days were a whirlwind. The news of my separation and Fabian's departure from the company spread fast. Colleagues called me asking what had happened. I gave them vague answers. Irreconcilable differences. I'd say personal matters. They didn't need to know the dirty details. For now, Elias worked like a machine. Every day, he sent me updates. Alicia hired a lawyer. A bad one. She's going to lose. Fabian tried to access blocked company accounts. Eugenia signed a statement cooperating fully. Each message was a small victory. 3 days after filing for divorce, Alicia requested a meeting. Elias advised me to accept. Let her talk. The more she talks, the deeper she sinks. We agreed to meet at a neutral cafe. I arrived first, sat at a table in the back, ordered a black coffee. I waited. Alicia arrived 10 minutes late. She looked terrible. Deep dark circles. Unkempt hair, a wrinkled dress. Nothing remained of that radiant woman who pretended to be pregnant with a miracle. She sat across from me without a greeting. "Thanks for coming," she said in a dull voice. "You have 15 minutes," I replied, looking at my watch. My lawyer recommended this conversation be brief. She took a deep breath. "Sebastian, I know I made a terrible mistake. I know I hurt you, but I need you to understand. I don't need to understand anything. The facts are clear. You cheated on me. You conspired with my partner to rob me. You got pregnant by him. There's nothing to understand. It wasn't like that." Her eyes filled with tears. "At first, yes, we were happy. But over time you changed. You became distant. You worked all the time. You were never home. I felt lonely. So the solution was to sleep with my best friend and plan to destroy me financially. Very logical. I didn't plan it like that. Fabian and I grew close unintentionally. He was there. When you weren't, he listened to me. He made me feel important. I have recordings that say otherwise. Recordings where the three of you plan every detail. Where you laugh at me, where you call me a fool. So save the drama." Alicia looked down. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I know there's no excuse, but please don't leave me with nothing. I'm pregnant. I'm going to have a baby. A baby by Fabian. He should support you." "No. Fabian has nothing. You left him jobless. Penniless. How are we going to survive? That's your problem. You should have thought of that before you betrayed me." She looked at me with a mix of desperation and hatred. "You're that cold. 18 years mean nothing to you. They meant everything until I found out they were a lie. Don't project your lack of conscience onto me. Alicia, you destroyed this, not me. You're going to regret this," she said, her tone changing completely. It was no longer a plea. It was a threat. "I'm going to fight. I'm going to get a good lawyer. I'm going to take half of everything. Try it. My lawyer has proof of adultery, conspiracy, and fraud. In this country, that nullifies any rights you think you have. You won't see $1 from me." I stood up, left a 20 on the table to pay for my coffee. "See you in court, Alicia. Have a good day." I left the cafe without looking back. I heard her sobbing, but I didn't stop. I no longer felt anything for her, not love, not hatred, just indifference. And that indifference was the most liberating thing I had felt in months. 2 weeks later, we had the first hearing. The courthouse was cold, the walls gray. Rows of wooden chairs. Alicia arrived with her lawyer, a man in his 60s who looked tired of life. I arrived with Elias. We sat on opposite sides. We didn't look at each other. The judge entered. A middle-aged woman with a serious expression. "Divorce case. Sebastian versus Alicia. Proceed." "Mr. Moreno." Elias stood up, presented the evidence methodically, the photographs of Alicia and Fabian entering the motel, the private investigators' reports, the audio recordings where they planned everything, the pregnancy test that confirmed the baby wasn't mine, the clause in the partnership agreement that justified Fabian's removal. Alicia's lawyer tried to object, tried to argue that the recordings were illegal, that they had been obtained without consent. Elias tore him apart, citing case law, explaining that in cases of well-founded suspicion of fraud, the evidence was admissible. The judge agreed. Alicia was crying. Her lawyer whispered things in her ear, but it was useless. The evidence was overwhelming. After a 2-hour hearing, the judge issued a preliminary ruling. "Considering the evidence presented," said the judge, "the divorce is granted on grounds of proven adultery and conspiracy to defraud. Mrs. Alicia is not entitled to alimony or division of property. Mr. Sebastian retains all his assets. Custody of the minor, when born, will be determined by a paternity test. If it is confirmed that the biological father is Mr. Fabian, He will be legally responsible. Final hearing in 30 days to formalize. She banged the gavel. It was over. Alicia sobbed louder. Her lawyer consoled her uselessly. I left the courtroom with Elias. Out in the hallway, he shook my hand. Congratulations, he said. You won clean. Thanks to you. No. Thanks to you having the cool head to collect evidence before acting. A lot of people get carried away by emotion and lose. He was right. If I had confronted Alicia that first day at the clinic, if I had exploded with rage and yelled, I wouldn't have achieved anything. But the pain had made me cold, calculating, and that coldness saved me. That afternoon, I went to the office. Orlando greeted me with a smile. Sir, 3 new contracts came in, big projects. It seems Mr. Fabian's departure didn't affect the company's reputation. Excellent. Review them and let me know. I went into my office. Sat down, looked around. The space felt different without Fabian on the other side. Cleaner, more honest. I took out my phone. I had a message from Claudia, the investigator. I saw the news from the trial. I'm glad everything worked out. If you need anything else, you know where to find me. I replied, thanks for everything. Your work was impeccable. I put the phone away, opened the computer. I had emails to check, projects to supervise. Life went on, and for the first time in a long time that life was only mine. No betrayals, no lies. That night, when I returned home, I found it empty. Alicia had taken her things while I was at the courthouse. The closet empty, the bathroom without her products. The house felt big and quiet. I walked through the rooms. In each one I saw memories. 18 years of history. But those memories no longer hurt me. They were just that, the past. I sat on the couch, ordered Chinese food. While I waited, I turned on the TV. They were showing news, politics, economy, sports, normal life. I thought about Alicia and Fabian, about how they must be now, desperate, ruined, blaming each other. Probably. And I didn't feel satisfaction. I didn't feel joy at their downfall. I just felt nothing. And that nothing was perfect. The doorbell rang. It was the food. I paid, ate alone watching television. The fried rice was good, the spring rolls crispy. Simple, easy, quiet. After months of chaos. Tranquility was the only thing I needed. The next day, I got a call from Eugenia. I hesitated to answer, but I did. Sebastian, what do you want? I just wanted to apologize, really. I know it's no use. But I'm sorry. Alicia is my sister, and I let myself be convinced. It was a terrible mistake. Why are you calling me? Because you need to know something? Alicia and Fabian broke up. They fought after the hearing. He blamed her for everything. She blamed him. It was ugly. Very ugly. That doesn't surprise me. Alicia is doing very badly. Sebastian, she has no money. No job. She's going to have a baby alone. I'm helping her. But, Eugenia, stop right there. Alicia made her choices. Now she lives with the consequences. It's not my problem, and honestly, it shouldn't be yours either. She used you just like me. There was a silence. Then she sighed. You're right. I just wanted you to know. Now I know. Thanks for calling. I hung up. Eugenia had a good heart. But she was naive. Alicia would manipulate her until she got everything she could out of her. But that was no longer my battle. I got my life back. What they did with theirs was their decision. A month after the preliminary hearing, the day of the final hearing arrived. The sky was gray that morning. It threatened to rain. I dressed in a dark suit. Great tie. I got to the courthouse half an hour early. Elias was already there waiting for me. Ready? He asked. More than ever. We entered the courtroom. Alicia was already sitting with her lawyer. She looked worse than last time. Thinner despite the pregnancy, which was now slightly noticeable. Deeper dark circles, clothes that had seen better days. She looked at me when I entered. Her eyes were empty, defeated. The judge entered. We all stood. She reviewed the final documents. I have reviewed the entire case, the evidence, the statements. Does the defense have anything to add? Alicia's lawyer stood up. Your Honor, my client acknowledges the facts. She accepts the proposed sentence. We only ask for consideration given her state of pregnancy and her current financial situation. Mr. Moreno. Elias stood up. The plaintiff maintains his position. There is no legal or moral obligation for support. given that the pregnancy is the result of proven adultery with an identified third party. The judge nodded. Understood. I will now proceed to deliver the final judgment. She banged the gavel. The marriage between Sebastian and Alicia is declared dissolved on grounds of adultery. All assets remain the property of Mr. Sebastian. There is no obligation for alimony. Mrs. Alicia must vacate the marital property within 15 days. Regarding the unborn child, once a paternity test is performed, the biological father will assume legal responsibilities. Case closed. Another bang of the gavel. Final, definitive. I stood up, shook Elias's hand. Thanks for everything. It was a pleasure working with you. If you ever need anything else, you know where to find me. I left the courtroom. In the hallway, Alicia caught up with me. Sebastian, wait. I stopped, turned around. What? Are you really going to leave me on the street pregnant? With nothing. You have 15 days to find a place to live. It's more than you gave me when you were planning to destroy me. Please, I just need a little help. A little money to start over. For the baby. Talk to Fabian. It's his baby. His responsibility. Fabian has nothing. You made sure of that. I made sure to protect what was mine. You two made sure to lose what was yours. Goodbye. Alicia. I walked towards the exit. She yelled behind me. You're going to regret this. This isn't over. Sebastian. I didn't stop. I left the courthouse. Outside it had started to drizzle. I got in my car. I started it. I drove through the rain to the office. I had an important meeting with new investors. Life going on. The next few days passed quickly. Alicia vacated the house as the judge ordered. I wasn't present. I hired a moving company to supervise. They sent me photos when they were done. The house empty, clean, ready for a new beginning. Fabian disappeared completely. Orlando told me he had gotten a job at a small construction company, a minor position, nothing compared to what he had. He also told me that Alicia and he were no longer speaking, that everything had ended badly between them. Just as I predicted 2 months after the final judgment, I received an email from Elias. FY Alicia gave birth. A girl. Fabian signed the acknowledgement of paternity. It's now legally his responsibility. Case officially closed. I read the email twice. Alicia had had a baby girl, a baby I would never know, a baby that wasn't my problem. I closed the email. Continued working. Life took on a new rhythm. Without the weight of betrayal, I could concentrate on myself. I hired new staff for the company. Good professionals, honest. The projects grew, the profits increased. Everything Alicia and Fabian wanted to steal, I multiplied on my own. One afternoon, 6 months after the divorce, I was in a cafe working on my laptop when someone approached my table. I looked up. It was a woman of about 40, brown hair, a kind smile. Sebastian, she asked. Yes, I know you. I'm Sandra. We met years ago at an engineering conference. I don't know if you remember me. I searched my memory. I vaguely remember the name. I think so. How are you? Good. I saw you here and wanted to say hi. Can I sit for a moment? Sure. She sat down. We chatted. It turned out she was also an engineer. She worked independently. She had her own consulting firm. She was intelligent. Direct. No games, no masks. We talked about projects, about the industry, about life. I heard about your divorce. She said at some point, I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. It was the best thing that could have happened. She smiled. What a healthy attitude. A lot of people get stuck in resentment. I was close, but I decided it wasn't worth carrying that around. We kept talking. 1 hour turned into 2, into 3. When I realized it was already night. I have to go, Sandra said. But it was very nice talking to you. Same here. Would you like to do it again? Maybe dinner as friends. I looked at her. There were no ulterior motives, no manipulation, just an honest invitation. I like that, I said. We exchanged numbers. She left. I stayed a moment longer thinking. For the first time in months, I felt something like hope. It wasn't love. Not yet, but it was the possibility of something new, something real. That night, in my new apartment, smaller, but more honest than the house I shared with Alicia, I prepared dinner simple pasta with tomato sauce, red wine. I sat on the balcony. The city glowed below, the lights, the traffic life. I thought about everything that had happened, about the doctor's call, about the pregnancy that wasn't mine, about the lies, about the plan to destroy me, about the hearings, about the sentence, and I realized something important. It didn't hurt anymore. The memory was still there, but without the sting, without the poison. Alicia and Fabian had tried to take everything from me, my money, my company, my dignity. But in the end, all they managed to do was set me free. Free from a dead relationship, from a false friendship, from a life built on lies. I took a sip of wine. The taste was good, rich, honest. I took out my phone. I wrote to Sandra. How about Friday? I know an excellent Italian restaurant. She replied quickly. Perfect. I love Italian food. I smiled. I put the phone away, looked at the stars that were barely visible between the city lights, and for the first time in almost a year, I felt that the future wasn't a threat. It was a promise. A year after that call from Dr. Mendez that changed my life, I found myself in a completely different place. Not just physically, but emotionally. The new apartment had become my real home, simple, tidy, with no ghosts of the past. I chose every piece of furniture myself. Every picture on the wall reflected my tastes, not a compromise with someone else. The company was thriving more than ever. Without Fabian, without toxic energy and his hidden betrayals. The work environment improved noticeably. I hired Pablo, a young but brilliant engineer, as my new junior partner, hardworking, loyal, the qualities I thought Fabian had but never did. The contracts for the mall project are ready. Pablo told me that morning. They just need your signature. I reviewed the documents. Everything was perfect. I signed. Excellent work. You keep showing why I chose you. He smiled. Thanks, Sebastian. I'm learning a lot working with you. Orlando came in with coffee. Sir. Mail arrived. A certified letter. I took it. It was from the courthouse. I opened it curiously. It was a notification. Fabian had filed a lawsuit against me for wrongful termination. He was asking for $200,000 in compensation. I laughed. Literally, I laughed out loud. Bad news? Asked Pablo. No, just someone who doesn't accept his consequences. I put the letter away, wrote to Elias. Fabian sued me. Can you handle it? He replied in minutes. With pleasure. He's going to lose again. Don't worry. I didn't worry. Fabian could try whatever he wanted. The evidence of his betrayal was irrefutable. Any judge would see his lawsuit for what it was. A desperate attempt to get money. That afternoon, I had a date with Sandra. We had been going out for the last 8 months. Nothing rushed, nothing forced. Just two people getting to know each other without haste. Without hidden agendas. I picked her up at her office. She was wearing a lavender dress that looked beautiful on her. Ready? I asked. Ready, where are we going? It's a surprise. I drove to the outskirts of the city, to a small restaurant overlooking the lake. We had been talking about going there for weeks. When we arrived, the sun was beginning to set. The sky was painted with oranges and pinks. It's beautiful, Sandra said as we walked to our table. We had a slow dinner, grilled salmon, fresh salad, white wine. The conversation flowed naturally. She told me about a difficult project with a complicated client. I gave her advice. We laughed. It was easy, honest, real. Can I ask you something personal? Sandra said at some point. Sure. Do you ever think about her? About your ex-wife? I consider the question sometimes, but not with pain. It's more like remembering a movie I saw a long time ago. I know it happened, I know it was real, but it doesn't affect me anymore. That's very healthy. A lot of people get stuck in the past. I was close to getting stuck, but I decided my life was worth more than resentment. She took my hand across the table. I'm glad you got over it, because the man I know now is someone incredible. I smiled. You're incredible too. After dinner, we walked along the lake shore. The fresh air, the sound of the water, the stars beginning to appear. Sandra stopped and looked at me. Sebastian, I want you to know that this is real for me. What we have. I don't have any agenda. I just want to get to know you, to be with you. I know, and it's real for me too. We kissed. A gentle, honest kiss, without complications, without hidden lies. When we separated, she was smiling. We should do this more often. Definitely. I took her back to her house. We said goodbye with another kiss. I drove to my apartment feeling lighter than ever. Life had taken a turn I never expected, but it was a good turn, better than I imagined. 2 weeks later, Orlando gave me some news. Sir, I heard from an acquaintance that your ex-wife is working in a restaurant as a waitress. I didn't say anything for a moment. Then I asked, how is she? They say she's not doing well, that the baby cries a lot, that Fabian doesn't help her, that she barely has enough money. Part of me felt something like pity, but it was small, very small. Thanks for telling me, Orlando. I didn't investigate further. I didn't look for details. Alicia's life was no longer my concern. She had chosen her path. Now she was living the consequences, just as I had chosen mine and was living the results. A month later, Elias called me. Fabian's lawsuit was dismissed. The judge didn't even give him a hearing. He said it was frivolous and without merit. Perfect. I also found out something else. Fabian is being investigated for tax fraud. It seems he didn't declare income from side jobs for years. He could face charges. Karma, I said simply. Exactly. Everything comes back. Sebastian, it always comes back. He was right. Alicia had lost her marriage, her house, her stability. Fabian had lost his job, his reputation, his future. Eugenia had lost the relationship with her sister because she finally understood she had been manipulated and I had won my freedom. 6 months later, Sandra and I decided to move in together. It wasn't an impulsive decision. We talked about it at length. We weighed the pros and cons. But in the end, we both knew it was the right step. We found a larger apartment with space for both of us, with a study for her, with a large balcony where we could have breakfast on Sundays. On moving day, while we were arranging boxes, Sandra asked me, "Do you ever regret how you handled everything with your ex?" No, I did what I had to do. I protected myself. I protected what I had built, and if I had been softer, they would have one. You were smart, cold, but fair. I wasn't cold. I was strategic. There's a difference. That night, in our new home, we toasted with champagne. To new beginnings, Sandra said. To new beginnings, I repeated, we drank. And as I did, I thought about the whole journey. From that doctor's call to this moment. It had been a year of pain, of betrayal, of terrible discoveries, but it had also been a year of growth, of learning, of liberation. Alicia taught me that blind trust is dangerous. Fabian taught me that not all friends are loyal. Eugenia taught me that family can betray you for money, but Sandra was teaching me that honesty still existed, that it was still possible to build something real with someone. The people who tried to destroy me ended up destroying themselves. And I, the supposed fool, ended up stronger, wiser, happier. Because in the end, those who weave betrayals live trapped in their own webs, and those who choose the truth, even if it hurts, find freedom. I looked at Sandra. She was smiling at me. A genuine smile, with no ulterior motives, no hidden plans, just love, true love. And in that moment, I knew that all the pain, all the struggle had been worth it because it brought me here to this new beginning, to this new life. A life that was finally mine, completely mine.